Hi, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm Carolyn, the Corporate Communications Lead for Musim Mas Group. Thank you for taking time off your busy schedules to join our webinar. Today, we'll be sharing key lessons from Indonesia's largest palm oil independent smallholder project. Musim Mas Director of Sustainable Supply Chain, Olivier, will be presenting an opening with a few remarks on why smallholders are important. And Rob, our General Managers for Programs and Projects, would end off with the webinar showing how we scale up smallholder projects with downstream actors to contribute to a deforestation-free and exploitation-free supply chain. With us are also guest speakers from the International Finance Corporation, a member of the World Bank Group. IFC and Musim Mas has been working closely since 2015 to develop and implement the largest palm oil independent smallholder program in Indonesia. They will be going deeper into the design of the program, its outcomes, and challenges. So this is the team from IFC, Trianto, Ramat, Yuni, Shanghai, Yosawin, and Helen. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel. If you want to be anonymous, please tick the checkbox. Olivier, please.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I can't switch on the video. We are here actually today to share a few stories, at least one, but I suspect a few more. So the main one being, why did the IFC and Musim Mas get to work together? Well, it's obviously because of palm and because of smallholders. Both are here to stay, and we believe that both are here to stay for good, or even, I would say, for the better. We also believe that both can further improve their impacts and that the private sector has a role to play alongside the public sector. So this slide that you're looking at now is taken from the IUCN report of 2018 on palm oil and biodiversity. The numbers might be not perfectly accurate, but they give you a very good idea of the scale of things. And they can give you in particular an idea of the efficiency of oil palm. Actually, a well-run plantation today can produce 1 metric ton of oil on about 1.125 hectares, so twice what you can see on this slide. So palm will definitely not go away. It will remain a major vegetable oil needed to feed the world. And also, likewise, smallholders will not disappear from Indonesia or from the other producing countries, but we'll focus on Indonesia today. So Musim Mas, we are not only a refiner of palm, we are also a grower. We have plantations, we have mills. We want to make the most of the land we use. We are very proud of our yields. We also want to have the most positive environmental and social impacts. So we have adopted certain guiding principles, which are summarized today as NDPE, of course, and we also got certified to demonstrate our achievements. We were the first in Indonesia to be RSPO certified. We are also members of POIG, the Palm Oil Innovation Group. There are only 3 producers in POIG at the moment, and only 1 in Asia, Musim Mas. We have set the bar high for ourselves, and we're very proud of our achievements. We are proud because sustainable palm oil, certified or not, supports the Sustainable Development Goals. If you look at the 17 SDGs, I must say I can see palm in almost every single one of them. The IPODS project, which we'll discuss today, that story that we're going to share today, certainly has shown the way in terms of alleviating poverty, hunger, and in promoting gender equality. And I'm just picking the top line here. As a grower, we can demonstrate that we have a positive impact. And we have the certificates, we Musim Mas, to prove it. But that's not enough if we are leaving about 3 million smallholders, let's say, by the side of the road in Indonesia. They also have to benefit from the SDGs, or even better, they have to participate in the SDGs. And I'll finish on this. For those who know me, it's incredibly short today. Smallholders are the future of palm oil. We need knowledgeable, resilient, sustainable smallholders. Production growth has to come from increasing yields in small farms, not or far less from expansion of large plantations. It's important for the smallholders, they will earn more. It's important for our industry, as the world needs more palm oil produced responsibly and, if possible, sustainably certified. We are very proud of the IPODS project. It has reached out to many smallholders in the 5 years it has been active, and it has reached out to tens of thousands of smallholders. And IPODS, not only that, but has also developed tools that today enable us and will continue enabling us and others to go further. So it's an interesting story. I will leave it to the IFC and Musim Mas teams to tell it. Thank you very much, and I'll pass to Pa Trianto. Thank you.
Thank you, Pa Olivier. Hello, everyone. My name is Trianto. I will give you an overview on how the project was designed and implemented. After moratorium in 2009 to 2011, IFC published World Bank Group Framework and IFC Strategy for engagement in the palm oil sector. There are 4 pillars in this framework. You can see in this slide. Indonesian Palm Oil Development for Smallholder project is under 3rd pillar. This is the first IFC initiative after lifting the WBG moratorium and approval of the World Bank Group strategy. IFC started, we engaged with advisory work with selected clients, and when it proves effectively and successfully, we can then engage with client in investment in the sector. This is a strategy of the engagement to improve smallholder performance is shown here. Provide smallholder with training, sustainability production, and improve access to finance. IPODS project concept was developed in 2011 to 2012, and we received IFC internal approval for implementation in 2013. The project objective is to develop and demonstrate a replicable, scalable business model for sustainable palm oil by independent smallholders. The project has a 4 components, including access to technology, access to finance, access to market, and industry outreach. Project aims to train 30 to 37,500 smallholders in sustainable production, provide financial product, and to certify 2,000 farmers become RSPO certification with a total land of 4,000 hectares. The industry outreach will influence the industry with the project methodology and result. Project focused on helping independent oil palm smallholder in Indonesia. In mid-2015, IFC began working with Musim Mas, a leading palm oil company, to deliver an Indonesian palm oil development smallholder project and provide independent oil palm smallholder in Indonesia with greater access to technology, agriculture extension service, and capacity development that will improve the yield and the quality of their fresh fruit bunches. The project began implementation in late 2015 with independent smallholders supplying fresh fruit bunches to PT Siringgo, a mill belonging to Musim Mas in Rantau Prapat, North Sumatra province. The project has then expanded to 3 new sites in Riau province. This is indication of its success at the beginning. IFC working with Musim Mas for 5 years, developed 12 training modules, including 6 poster and trainers guidance. The project developed inclusive business model, integrated all key stakeholders in the supply chains, including the farmers. After 5 years engagement with Musim Mas, we have completely to bring all stakeholders in the business models, as you can see in this slide. We are working with 4 Musim Mas mills as processors. We have trained 43,000 independent smallholders and aggregate them into over 1,500 new farmer groups. We're able to engage with 2 financial institutions, BNI 46 state-owned bank in Indonesia, and Crowdy, a fintech company, to provide working capital financing and replanting. We are also working with local input supplier to provide high-quality fertilizer with quality control by Musim Mas team. We perform 4 farmer group association for RSPO certification, and we success to certify 2,092 farmers in 4 locations. Team also success to find off-taker to purchase RSPO credit from FMCG companies such as Unilever, Nestle, and PepsiCo. Pilot of IPOD implementation was started with the kickoff meeting in Medan in 2015, and then the first anniversary celebration in Rantau Prapat in 2016. We conduct the biggest TOT event for IPODS field staff in the Bukit Tinggi, West Sumatra in 2018 in the preparation for RSPO certification process. The first RSPO certificate for farmer group in Rantau Prapat and Rokan Hulu was in 2016. And then the other two locations received RSPO certification in 2020. And the last photo you see here, there's a payment of RSPO credit for farmers in 2020 and 2021. As a result, you see IPODS project have achieved all the key targets of the project. At the output level, we have trained 43,000 farmers, which is exceed our target 37,500 farmers. At the outcome level, we successfully certified 2,092 independent smallholders, also exceeds the 2,000 farmer hour target. On the impact result, the project recorded 5,229 hectare RSPO certified land, exceeds our target 4,000 hectares. The most important of the project impact is the yield improvement, 30% for RSPO certified farmer compared to our baseline data. And we also monitoring impact on our field staff career. They've been hired by PT Musim Mas to continue the project and scale up the same project to other locations. They're also working with the UNDP in Pelalawan, GIZ in East Kalimantan, some fintech company in Riau, and the local company in Rantau Prapat. The key lesson from this project is to select the right partner who committed to support independent smallholder for 5 years. The client partner also need to pass IFC integrity due diligence process, including IFC performance standard assessment. We select Musim Mas because the strong commitment from Mr. Bahtiar Karim, CEO and Chairman of Musim Mas Group to support independent smallholder, and Musim Mas commitment to compliant with IFC performance standard. The second key lesson from IPOD project is aggregating individual farmers into a new farmer groups, make efficient for us to deliver training and strengthening them for the organization. RSPO certification of the project selected from this farmer group, and we perform farmer group association. The third lesson from this project, the project demonstrates the importance of a local capacity building and use field assistant as a change agent. And the fourth lesson from this project, we uncover the black box to understand the player in your supply chain for traceability purposes. The BMP training, learning from the first 50 farmers in 2 farmer group, improving BMP result to show early benefit and buy-in from other farmers. Certificates in mean of the end for the better productivity, income, and livelihood. Certification credit are the icing. Real benefit is change in behavior and sustained improvements in productivity and sustainability performance. This is one important key lesson that we found in this project to uncovering the supply chain, upstream palm oil supply chain for Musim Mas. This is how we start the project when mill received 95% FFB from third party through lead agent and 5% FFB supply from their own plantation. Similar to the other 3 locations in Riau, the mill received 99% FFB from the third party through lead agent. And then we call it this supply chain as a black box at the beginning because we didn't know who's supplying the mills. We start with the baseline survey and supply chain assessment in each location for the target area. After we collect the preliminary data and information, team commencing the project socialization to the selected area group for the farmers under sub-agent that willing to join the program. After the training, activities in Rantau Prapat, and continuous engagement with farmer, team able to identify there is a 4-layer of supply chain who supply the mills in Rantau Prapat. We able to identify there is 133 middlemen in the 4 layers as a lead agent, agent, sub-agent, and sub-sub-agent in Rantau Prapat. We integrate all the independent smallholders who joined the program into a new farmer group, as you can see in this slide. The project has been running for 5 years, and the project closed in December 2020. Musim Mas will continue to support independent smallholder in this 4 locations. Now, my colleague Andi Wayuni Baso will explain about our activity related gender and health and nutrition training. Thank you.
Thank you, Patri. So, women are involved in the agricultural sector, including in palm oil. Despite their contribution, women is invisible and often have little access to knowledge, financial technology that hamper to achieve the productivity and improve their livelihood. At the beginning of the project that mentioned by Patrianto, we conducted a baseline and also did a gender assessment to understand men and women roles and how they share the responsibility in farming, household, and community. We also identify their needs and challenges in doing their farming. Based on the finding from the baseline, we create a gender smart solution which aim to narrow or close the gender gaps and achieve the project goal and as well as business objective. Also empowering women in palm oil value chain. The gender integration implemented in all of the components of this project, including strengthening the woman role to improve the adoption of best management practices, sustainable practices, achieve their RSPO certification, and access to credit. Furthermore, we also develop program beyond agribusiness value chain to improve farmer livelihood by encouraging women participation through health and nutrition program, including home gardening activity that I will explain in the next slide. We started health and nutrition program by conducting a study to understand the issue related health and nutrition program in Rantau Prapat, North Sumatra in 2016. Using the funding from the study, we commenced a pilot on health nutrition to reach more about 1,000 women farmers and farmer wives in North Sumatra in 2017. Then in 2018, we conducted assessment to evaluate the effectiveness of health nutrition program and the impact to palm oil community. Early 2020, we worked with IPB University to improve the approach and training material, the health and nutrition training, and roll out this program to Riau in 3 districts, including Pelalawan, Rokan Hulu, and Rokan Hilir. We selected 7 women leaders from the villages and provided them training of trainer to improve their capacity. These women leaders become trainers and continue to train 4,000 women farmers and farmer wives on health, nutrition, and safety aspect in the villages. However, due to pandemic COVID-19, the training was on hold for several months. But despite this challenging issue to gather the women for training during pandemic, we finally completed the health and nutrition program in September 2020. Then IPB continued to conduct assessment to show the result. The result that we just actually saw that there is positive outcome and also impact from this health nutrition implementation, including increased women do home gardening and community gardening activities. The impact assessment also demonstrated improvement on food security and quality of diet of household, especially during this pandemic COVID, through home gardening and the introduction of budik damber. Budik damber is budidaya ikan dalam ember. This is a simple and cheap method to nurture fish in the bucket. Household also can save their monthly expenses for food by implementing these all practices. And moreover, the important results show that we empower the woman and woman leader in the palm oil community through this health and nutrition program. Over to you, Pak Sakib.
Yes, the project committed to provide continuous improvement on smallholder services. It's e-learning, not the drone. Yeah, as Okay. Yeah, the project committed to provide continuous improvement on smallholder services. And one of the effort is to test applicability of using drone for smallholder monitoring, specifically for two purposes. The first one is farm mapping for providing certain data required for sustainability certification like RSPO. And the second one, palm tree health monitoring. At this testing, we conducted a drone flight at 15,000 hectares of the project area and generate 1,000 scorecard or map for 1,000 farmers containing the information on the coordinate, polygon, tree count, age, estimated yield, and so on, and also plant health status, NDVI scorecard to spot area of health and unhealthy tree status. And then also, as part of our effort in continuous improvement, we providing services to smallholder. We developed e-Sawit. This is the e-learning application available at the Google Play Store, contain learning content and interactive quiz. A farmer can learn from their Android smartphone anywhere and anytime, without high dependency on agronomists or field staff or PPL. So farmer can also test their competencies on each topic of the e-learning content by taking the quiz on the app. On the other hand, the project team or the admin of this application can also monitor farmer participations and farmer competency on its learning content through data on the dashboard. So that's all from my side.
Thank you, Pak Sakib. Hello, everyone. I'm Cheng Hai, and Helen and I will now walk through briefly our experience in the local capacity building and access to technology for independent smallholders. Before I start, I see there are a few questions that came in about clarification. I think one is about how many independent smallholders and non-independent smallholders. Our project, which is called IPODS, which is the Indonesian Palm Oil Development for Smallholders project, deals only with independent smallholders. Okay, and Olivier and Drianto have given you the reason, the rationale for why we are working with independent smallholders and why we are implementing IPODS. What is the reality of smallholders in Indonesia, even before we start this project? So to get a better understanding of the performance of oil palm smallholders in Indonesia and the potential for improvement, IFC conducted a comprehensive diagnostic study in 2013 for about more than 1,000 smallholders in Indonesia. And this study showed that, of course, compared with plantations, smallholders on the whole have underperformed in productivity as well as their sustainability performance. Among the challenges faced by smallholders, we include their poor management capacity, poor adoption of good agricultural practices, weak farm organization, and this is expected because as independent smallholders, they are totally unorganized, and they also lack capacity access to quality planting materials, and this is a big challenge for them and will affect their productivity. Before we implement the project in the 4 locations, we actually undertook baseline studies in all the 4 locations. And the general picture we have is that overall, farmers in our project sites, independent smallholders, very small percentage of them, about only 3% of the farmers have ever received any training in agriculture. And the other source of information on how to grow palm oil and so on is actually from the neighbors and the family members. With regard to sustainable palm oil, less than 1% of the farmers that got involved in the project knew about sustainable palm oil, be it RSPO or ISPO. The overarching conclusion from this diagnostic study by IFC was that the single most essential activity to increase smallholder productivity in long term is in fact technical assistance, including awareness building and training. Now Helen will give you a brief on our approach to capacity building and training. Helen?
Hi everyone, I'm Helen. So the first thing we do is to create the core team in the project location. They are the one who will deliver the training to farmers, to aggregate farmers into farmer groups. So the core team, as you can see on the slide, is in the middle, in the core. They consist of project coordinator, field coordinator, and field assistant. They are under IFC Musim Mas IPODS management team. So we coordinate on daily basis. Then all the members of the project, local project team, they live among farmers community. In fact, half of them are the children of local farmers. Next slide, please. So why we recruit young people? Because we can build on existing social networks. We can get the buy-in from the community. Then we also boost local employment. And we know that the knowledge that they gain during the implementation will stay in the areas. Field assistant has multiple roles. They are trainer, aggregator, and also facilitator. So we equip them with the agronomic knowledge first, and also soft skill, so they can play their multiple role. Basically, we develop the capacity of the core team, so they are able to develop farmers. They are the change agents in the project location. Next, please. So we have customized our training modules specifically for farmers and for adult learners. Our core curriculum is best management practices on oil palm agronomy. Farmers were given these farmer-friendly books so they can always read at their own time. And we also produce various formats of training materials, not only on agronomy aspect, but also on the environment and social management aspect, including financial literacy, and like mentioned by Ibu Yuni earlier, we also produce health and nutrition. Over to you, Pak Cheng Hai.
Thank you, Helen. Someone in a participant asked what is the meaning of BMP. It's actually best management practices, as shown by Helen just now. So as Helen stated, the training for smallholders is actually done by our field assistants, the FAs. But first, we have to make sure that they are competent in delivering the training, the content, and so on. And to do this, we have conducted many training of trainers sessions on various topics and so on. And we adopt the classical cascading approach of training, whereby, first of all, our trainers, the field assistants, we have to learn the content, the subject matter, and they learn it from us, the master trainers. And after that, they put into practice how to teach it, and they actually teach it to the smallholders, eventually on their own. And when they're able to do that, they also do the assessment of how well the training has been absorbed by the farmers, how well it's been taken up and implemented. To give you an example, I'll give you here how we train our field assistants in the use of a new set of training material, what we call learning posters. We have developed a set of 6 learning posters on the different topics such as the best management practices, environmental management, safe use of pesticides, and first aid, and so on. So for this particular session, we've actually brought together all our field assistants, about 80 of them, to one central location in, I think, 2018, in Bukit Tinggi, in fact. And there we get them all concurrently the training in these 6 posters. So we start off, the first step is the master trainers, that is the members of the team, actually teach the FAs on the content of materials and how to use it. So you can see there's 2 pictures here. The top picture is P.S. Gillespie, and the bottom picture is Ibu Yuni, teaching them on the couple of topics on the posters. We also provide the FAs at this stage fairly detailed guidebooks guidebooks so that they can refer to later on when they do their own teaching. The next stage is that after this training master trainers, the trainees themselves actually start to do a teaching practice. So interactive approach, first of all, with the guidance of the master trainers, they try to deliver the content. And after that, we go through a simulated role play approach whereby the trainers will give the training to their colleagues who will actually role play as farmers. So you can see the top one, it's the demonstration of how to use the poster on the safe use of pesticides. And the bottom picture shows a demonstration on how to conduct first aid in the field. When the trainers, the FAs have learned that, we actually put them to the test. Next slide, next, click for me. To under live conditions, where we put them a live audience, the farmers and some those could be trained. And here, the master trainers take a back seat. We just observe them, but we also support the trainers, the FAs. If they run into trouble with question and answer, they're unable to explain certain things, we'll help them in this. But our role here as the master trainer is also to observe them, give them feedback, to critique on their performance, and give it areas for improvement. So you can see the two pictures. The top one is on the training for on first aid, the other one on safe use. And lastly, the trainers FAs are led on their own to train farmers independently. So they can do in different approaches, whereby like in discussion groups, also in actual formal training. The picture on the top there, you can see that the two FAs delivering briefing on for our session, interaction with farmers on the setting up of internal control systems. They're explaining the concept of sustainable palm oil through this poster. And the bottom picture is to show that actual training session with farmers. Okay. Alan, back to you.
Yeah, thank you. So thanks to this cascading approach, we are proud to say that since 2015 until end of 2020, the project has trained over 43,000 independent smallholders on best management practices, or BMP. The emphasis of our training is learning by doing. We integrate demonstration on best practices into the training session. So farmers are given the opportunity to participate in field demonstration. Normally it takes about 2 or 3 hours per topic. So our field team also monitor adoption of the best practices by farmer periodically. Over to you, Pat.
Thank you, Helen. The last slide. Next slide. Yes. Well, Helen said that we have trained about 43,000 independent smallholders. Independent. There are no non-independent smallholders involved on best practices and so on. This number actually, in fact, far exceeded the target of the project. But we also realized in the project team, somewhere midway through the project, is that there's a lot of farmers out there waiting to be trained. The 3 million smallholders in Indonesia. So we thought that there's a need to scale up training of smallholders. And one approach is actually to do take the e-learning approach, the digital approach, and using the smartphones owned by the farmers themselves. As mentioned by Pak Sakib just now, we have developed the e-learning app called eSawit, which is based on the augmented reality. This is now available on the Google Play Store, and anyone can access it without any charge. And with AR, we actually combine the use of animated 3D explanations, 3D models. We use videos, we use voiceovers, quizzes, and so on. And so far, we have developed 2 modules, one on manuring of oil palm, the other one on harvesting. These are the 2 guidebooks there, and the 2 modules are in both in the English and in Bahasa Indonesia. And we hope to eventually also to expand and have more modules to form a full curriculum. To give you an idea of the eSawit app itself, this brief video will be played now.
Empty fruit bunches, EFB, are obtained after the FFB has been stripped of the fruitlets at the mill.
Janjangan kosong didapat setelah seluruh buah dari tandan buah segar diambil di pabrik kelapa sawit, sehingga yang tinggal hanya janjan.
That concludes the overview on access to technology. I will now hand over to Yotsavin and Juni to share our experiences of access to market.
Thank you, Pak Shanghai. Hello, everyone. Here is Yotsavin. In this part, Ibu Yuni and I would like to share the key lessons on access to market through RSPO certification schemes. Whereas you all know at a glance, RSPO is doing very well, that 19% of global palm oil is RSPO certified. However, it is very important to increase the work with independent smallholders because they cultivate up to 30% of oil palm area around the world. But unfortunately, independent smallholders shares only as low as 0.18% of CSPO in global markets after almost 20 years of RSPO history. Next slide, please. With an effort to accelerate and mainstream sustainable production among independent smallholders, the IFC Musim Mas project has developed a scalable model and introduces the 7 key steps to prepare a farmers group towards RSPO certification. Please follow me in the slides. All of the certified farmers in access to market have gone through from step number 1 on the left through to step number 7 to the right, whereas the project farmers trained in access to technology mentioned in previous section have gone until step number 1 until number 4. I saw a question in the webinar, how long it takes. I would say it takes at least 3 years to prepare from step 1 and then to get an initial audits. And this project, we have 2 associations that we have done surveillance in the second years as well. So let's start with the step number 1. The project started with socialization about the project's activity and benefits of sustainable production of palm oil. Those interested farmers are voluntarily registered with project field staffs because all are independent smallholders. Then in step number 2, farmers of 15 up to 25 smallholders living nearby were encouraged to form a small sales group so that the project can efficiently provide technical services of training as the step number 3, and then monitoring the changes and adoption among the farmers by project's 80 field staffs as step number 4. So in step number 5, which enter into certification process, is that the project screen all the farmers groups in order to form a farmer group association in each location using 5 criteria shown in the slides here. The selected farmers groups should be an active group in participating project activities provided in the field. And the farmers group should be also located nearby up to 25 kilometers so that they can efficiently communicate among each other. And the members should hold land titles. This is very crucial in Indonesia. And we also screen environmental concerns with peatland maps and also national park maps. And most of the FFB of the farmers group should mainly supply to Musim Mas mill in the project area. In step number 6, Farmers Association were officially formed and also registered with local authority. And in the next step, number 7, we'll introduce us with the internal control system to ensure compliance of all members of our RSPO standard and get ready for an initial audit. So next slide, please. In getting ready for an initial audit, there are 4 key interrelated components that need to be perfectly prepared for a farmers group association. First component is group management. It involves a creation of a clear job description of its member, and other important part is selecting a good leader and a good group manager. Then also including register association with local authority and also apply for RSPO membership. Be aware that all of these processes takes time. Component number 2, documentation and data management. The association shall prepare farmers logbook, filing of legality, and standard of procedures, GPS mapping, SCV and SEIA assessments, land use change analysis report. Again, I would like to emphasize it takes time and resources in preparing each individual pieces of these evidence. In component number 3, farmer training includes trainings program which we provide with a good schedule, logistic and material, TOT as mentioned earlier, and monitoring adoption and provide necessary personal protective equipments to its member. In the 4th component is internal audit system. It needs a good internal audit team to conduct 100% assessment annually with inspecting plan, and it needs to be reporting and also to get all ready for pre-audit. Here I would like to give final notes. It is worthwhile to summarize here 2 main findings of access to market applying the IFC Musim Mas project approach. Note number 1, an average certified farmers of projects farmers group is 2.3 times bigger than non-IFC Musim Mas farmers group in Indonesia, which is 523 versus 225 farmers. Note number 2, we have learned that the certified member of association can increase 100% in the next audit cycles because the functioning ICS structure is already available and most of the farmers in the location have access to basic trainings and are aware of RSPO already. So that's my last notes. Next, I would like to hand over to Ibu Yuni, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Savin. This is Yuni again. So accomplished PNC RSPO certification is a very challenging process for farmers, especially independent smallholders. Some challenging that we face for taking farmers into certification is they have a low level of awareness of the important sustainable practices, especially at local level, including the government and farmers. Also, it's not easy to change farmers' mindset from their traditional into sustainable practices that need more effort and resources to do it. Independent smallholders also have very limited knowledge on RSPO PNC, including how to do it and what is the benefits. In addition, this association facing difficulty to fulfill some of the tough requirements for RSPO certification that mentioned before by Savin, which is like local land use change analysis, SEIA, and SCV. Without support from third party like IFC Musim Mas, it's difficult for independent smallholder to meet this requirement. Another challenge is for farmers also is consistency on implementing these sustainable practices and also wearing the PPA. So monitoring is also very important. The group manager also from this association consider that difficulty to establish the legal entity at this is including the complicated administration process and also the cost of establishment of this legal entity or local authority. You need to register in notary and also register in Ministry of Law. And last but not least, expensive audit for certification. It's a big money for independent smallholder, and they need support for this. Next slide, please. But despite these challenges, there are more benefits generated from implemented sustainable practices and get RSPO certification. The 4 associations that we support in North Sumatra and Riau mention a benefit that they gain after RSPO certification in some aspect, including economic, social, sustainability, and legality. From economic side, farmers realized that implemented BMP improved their production for oil palm. Also, getting certified, farmers have additional income from selling the credit to companies such as Nestle, Unilever, and PepsiCo. Some part of this income from credit used by association to buy the assets such as farming equipment. And also, association facilitate all their members to have safety insurance like BPJS. Before, maybe just less than 1% have it, this one. Last update from association, they started now using the income from credit to facilitate access to input or fertilizer for their members. In terms of social, forming association for farmers allow them to have media or place together, working together, sharing their knowledge and experience in implementing and also improve the sustainable practices, as well as solve the issue facing by the members. Before, they're only working individually. Now, more farmers like to join the association. Related social aspect on gender, the association now recognizes the significant women roles for RSPO certification. Therefore, our association encourages and provides equal opportunity for men and women farmers to join as a member or take role actively in the board of the association and contribute to the implementation of sustainable practices to achieve the RSPO certification or maybe other letter certification. For sustainability now, farmers have a good understanding to manage their land and the area around their land. For example, managing the area oil palm tree which is planted close to the river area. Farmers also have better knowledge now on HCV. Before, they don't even know what is HCV mean and how to monitor and managing. With this certification, also farmers realize that the importance of legal status of their land and also have the awareness of having STDB. Now they don't know as well. With the current technology, and also explained by Pak Sakib in the previous slide, the association have digitized their member plots with clear boundary to avoid conflict and also show that the members of association not planted the oil palm in the protected area or other area that not allowed by sustainable certification. Now, the farmers are high motivated to maintain their sustainable certification as more benefit they will receive. That's conclude the section on access to market. Now, Rob Nicol will share Musim Mas experience with smallholders. Over to you, Pak Rob.
Okay, thanks very much, Bu Yuni. I'd just like to thank our colleague and friends from IFC for their participation, as well as the Musim Mas team. My name's Rob Nichols. I'm the GM for smallholder projects and programs. And in the slide you're looking at, you can see the guy there. He's one of our smallholder farmers, one of our stars. And we do look alike a little bit because we've both got big bellies, but actually I think mine's bigger than Pak Ginting's. So I'd like to start with the story of one of our smallholder farmers. And he's one of the active members in the smallholder program. His name is Pak Ginting. And there's a couple of things about Pak Ginting. He loves to eat a lot, and he likes to laugh and enjoy life. He's from Sumatra, and he started to buy land to plant oil palm as it was a popular crop some years ago. However, he didn't know how to plant oil palm, but he was very resourceful and he learned from his friends and neighbours. But unfortunately for Pak Ginting, it didn't pan out so well. His palms were stunted, didn't bear as much fruit as he thought it was going to. And even though he was putting in a lot of effort, he wasn't getting the return that he expected or should have. He even thought of expanding his block, increasing the planted area so he could grow more fruit, get more FFB, fresh fruit bunches. Eventually, Pak Ginting met some field assistants from the IPODS project and he joined. And as a result of that, he was taught about how to follow good agricultural practices, GAP, how to manage his finances better, especially when that related to the replant period that he's gone through. And it encouraged him to go for certification in RSPO. He later told us that he was glad that he didn't expand his farm, as he realized what he was needed was just to improve the productivity of his current farm. He told us also he didn't want to spend more time and effort to maintain a bigger plot of land. And he wanted to spend more time on the hobbies that he really enjoyed, like fishing and, of course, eating good food. So today, his yield on his farm has increased. He gained access to financial subsidies for replanting through our program, and he has been the leader of the Farmers Association. In 2018, RSPO sponsored his trip to Bangkok for an RSPO credit ceremony, and his RSPO credits are now bought by one of the largest food manufacturers in the world. So we think that the story of Ginting serves to inspire not only other smallholders, but also field assistants, that we are actually making a positive change in the lives of smallholders. And I think this is something that the project has done so well. It's, developed the smallholders, but it's also, as our colleagues from IFC said, has developed a lot of local talent in the field assistance. So what are the components of our smallholder program? Our smallholder program goes beyond agronomic training. It's really a program to improve the smallholders' livelihoods and standards of living. There are other systemic issues that need to be considered, such as income and gender inequity, like Olivia mentioned in the Sustainable Development Goals previously. Having a holistic program like this helps us bring smallholders closer to adopting sustainable practices. The program also grew to support alternate livelihoods to prepare the smallholders for the replant period, because it's during this period they may not have enough saved income or alternate income to get them through this period of up to 3 or 4 years, preferably 3 years, where they're waiting for their crop to bear on the replanted farms. So, we really view smallholders as small business owners. So therefore, financial management is crucial for them to manage their farms in a sustainable manner. This will also help them in getting bank or financial loans. And this is really often a neglected component, as no matter how much subsidies or financial assistance we provide, if smallholders aren't able to manage their finances wisely, the efforts that they put in will be futile. So it's really important for them to be self-reliant, and that means no handouts, but rather teaching and training people and empowering them. Replanting has been another part of our programs. And thanks to the government support, smallholders receive up to 30 million rupiah per hectare. Now, this will assist smallholders in the replant process, and we're really grateful for such a support system. And we've worked closely with the Indonesian Oil Palm Plantation Fund Management Agency, or BPDPKS, and local banks to increase smallholder access to finance for replanting. And that's one of the real big challenges that smallholders really do face, is getting access to get the money that they need to do the replant to the required standard. As previously mentioned, improving yields per hectare. So this is really critical. So, if we can do this and do this well, it encourages the farmers to focus on the land that they already have and not to open or deforest. So if the FFB, the fresh fruit bunches, or the yield per hectare goes up, it's much more economic to focus on that than to continue to expand. Now, we do this through going through good agricultural practices, best management practices, and NDPE principles, the no development or peak exploitation principles. And these are also in line with RSPO and ISPO principles and criteria. As also mentioned, there was market access. It's critical for smallholders to understand that there is an incentive in being sustainable. And we want to include them in the sustainable supply chain, not just our supply chain, but the overall sustainable supply chain. And obviously, certification is one of the means to do this. Another point is legitimacy. Some smallholders may require assistance with paperwork for land registration or land legalization. Okay, so, the project has, we believe, been a huge success. You may have heard of a term, Smallholders Hub. What does that mean? So this project has been highly successful and the project has come to an end. So we need to look forward. And one of the things that we've talked about is our smallholder program has progressed and expanded, but there's limitations to what one single company can do to address the NDPE concerns that exist. We're very well aware of the delicate balance between economic prosperity, developing the community, and conserving the environment. So what we're doing is scaling up our smallholder program by the smallholder hub approach. The smallholder hub is a support structure for a landscape, and that can be either a legal or a geographic area, and it builds the capacity of key stakeholders in the landscape, including the local government and smallholders. So working cooperatively with the various stakeholders to upskill smallholders, and especially the government village extension officers who are embedded in the community. So our aim is to be a supportive partner and assist independent smallholders be sustainable and self-sustaining. I think that, we've all heard the word sustainable, and I think we really believe that a large part of that is self-sustaining. Our process that we're going through is there to really make people independent, but it's a stepwise approach. We can't expect to just give training to smallholders and then all of a sudden they're self-sustaining. It requires a multi-stakeholder approach and it takes time. So Musim Mas has extension offices that are based in the landscape for long-term collaboration with local stakeholders. We share resources and expertise on running a smallholder program with the government. And the importance of this open relationship with them cannot be, understated. Obviously, we've got a lot of really good materials that have come as part of the IPODS project that have been mentioned previously. And we're using those and continue to use those with our training of smallholders. Currently, we are focusing our efforts in priority areas such as the Lusa ecosystem in Aceh. In the photo that you may have seen there, that's where we're doing some local government discussions on how to set up and establish a smallholder hub. So the smallholder hub in action. We've got some photos there where we've been delivering training, where we really focused on training the village extension officers. So a lot of train the trainer. So to make the smallholder hub a reality, we're working with stakeholders with common goals, such as government, buyers, and NGOs. In 2020, we established a smallholder hub in Aceh Tamiang, and our smallholder hub fits into the government's vision of creating a multi-stakeholder group for sustainable development in the area. The project involved IDH, PepsiCo, Unilever, and other suppliers. And we're integrating it with innovative monitoring technology by WRI and local NGOs. We've also recently collaborated with General Mills to kickstart a smallholder hub project in Aceh Singkil. The reception from the local government in Singkil has been really strong, and we have established our second smallholder hub there. And in February of this, just last month, we conducted the first train the trainer in Aceh Singkil, and we had 32 participants attend the train the trainer. COVID-19 has delayed our plans. However, together with the local government and the stakeholders, we're working towards keep the project moving and expanding. As I said before, it's really important, even though we do have COVID, that we continue to move ahead. One of the things we obviously do is have people embedded in the community so that there isn't this inter-province travel required as much. But more importantly, we need to be part of the community. So having people, staff, embedded in the community makes it a lot easier to develop the relationships. It does take time, as was mentioned previously, but smallholders and other stakeholders will take us seriously when they see that we're embedded and we're there for the long term. Another thing that we're doing at the moment is, we're developing a framework to measure the impact of our smallholder work on the ground. And this is a very difficult thing to do. It takes time for a lot of the results to come through, and there's a whole range of criteria that need to be looked at and used when we're assessing the success. So even if you don't have boots on the ground, it's still possible to come together to improve the smallholders' livelihoods and prevent deforestation. At Musim Mas, we're very open to collaboration and partnerships. And so we really encourage people to reach out, talk to us. If there's an opportunity that we can work together as a multi-stakeholder group for the betterment of the livelihoods and also environmental issues, we're really happy to do that. So I would like to thank everybody for their time today. I will hand us back to our presenter, our main presenter. We've got some questions that have come in. If we can't answer all those questions today, I'm sure that we'll be able to answer them via email. So thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah. Thanks everyone for the wonderful presentation. So I have three things to share before we start answering some of these questions. Firstly, don't worry, the presentation deck will be sent out to all of you, and that the video recording will also be uploaded on YouTube. So stay tuned to the links to relook at the notes and the information that is shared in this presentation. Secondly, we will try to answer as many questions as possible. And if we can't answer, please, we will also try to email to some of you guys, some of old friends and names that we recognized in this, the participants. And finally, the third one, if you have any questions, please feel free to type into the Q&A box. And if you want to stay anonymous, you can tick the anonymous check box. And so I have the first questions to Cheng Hai. It's about technology. What kind of technology does the IPODS want smallholder to access? Is it mechanical technology to help them in plantations, or digital technology, or the app? How do you foresee how technology overall will address some of our objectives for this program? Cheng Hai or Helen? Yeah.
Thank you, Caroline. Yeah, I saw the question in the sense that the questioner was interested in the type of technology in terms of mechanical, technological, or digital. Actually, we use a fairly big term to describe this component, access to technology. And the technology we're referring to is actually more basic in terms of more agricultural practices, agronomic practices, because from the diagnosis study that was done by ISC in 2013, it showed that smallholders are very lacking in the very basic requirements and practices, and so as a technology is more on agricultural practices and so on, not so much hard technological technology and so on. But just in case you get confused why we introduced the app is actually to help the farmers, but they don't really have to know the basic behind the digital technology. All right.
Thank you. Next, we have a question, perhaps to Rob. It's about how many % of the smallholder supplies, independent or non-independent, can be fully traceable? What is our approach to traceability, and how do we see it as the linkage to the smallholders? Rob.
Okay, thanks, Carolyn. As part of the IPODS project, it was really important, I know that IFC and for Musim Mas, that for the smallholders supplying to us, we found out where they were. And this revolved around taking GPS coordinates to ensure that they were from legal areas. Musim Mas has a commitment ongoing to do traceability for all people in our supply chain. So, you know, for this project, it was all independent, fully independent smallholders. So we were working, and in most cases, it's 100% traceability on this program has been achieved. For our own mills that aren't part of this project, they are either 100% or almost completed. So it's something that Musim Mas takes very seriously, and also as part of the IPODS project, traceability was undertaken.
Okay, thank you. Perhaps the next question goes to Ibu Yuni. The question is about what motivated the work around health and nutrition. And the second question is about among the total of trained independent smallholders, how many of them are women? And how many are there women trainers and women independent smallholder group lead managers? Yuni, please.
Thank you, Caroline. So actually, for our purpose for this project, it's not just improve the productivity or the income of farmers, but also improve their livelihood. So therefore, we try to see the potential go beyond the agri-value chain and see the other like health and nutrition and other aspects. So we started this one actually by doing the study in 2016 in North Sumatra. we go several steps actually just to make sure that this is the right approach also for the palm oil community. So using this, we do even pilot first in North Sumatra. Then once we finish with this pilot, we do evaluation and then try to see what the things that we can also improve from this health nutrition. We also asking the woman from the assessment that whether they need this or they don't need at all. So from the feedback that we have from the evaluation in 2018 in North Sumatra, actually they are really want to even have more training on this, because it's not just training on health nutrition. We also included some safety and also financial literacy, especially for those women. It's not include maybe on the farmer groups, but they are farmers, farmers' wife or women farmers. And then this palm oil is, so I can say it's not only gender sensitive, but also nutrition sensitive. But one thing also, the finding from the latest report that during this pandemic, this is really affected to also the farmers or the community around the palm oil. For those actually doesn't have any program in health nutrition, they even have, before they are food secure, now some of them actually go to mild or moderate insecure for food. So I think this is the one that we would like to achieve for this, improving the livelihood for oil palm smallholders.
No,
the second question is the training for women, right? I think in the slides where Pak Trianto mentioned, actually, we just not integrating this gender or involve women in just health nutrition, but also on is the aspect of access to technology, access to market, and access to finance. Therefore, we involve them all of this training on 12 modules that we have developed. And then we achieve, I think, more than 19,000 women from this project. Maybe Pak Trianto would like to add.
Yeah, thank you, Yoni. So I think, the idea for the project to integrate women, because some women have a good important role in the plantation as well. Most of the culture sometimes prevent women to be in front of the discussion. Through this project, we identify there is an entry point to helping a woman to support the husband in the practical on the good best management practices. So with this program, we make specific target on the woman. That's why uni roles to approach all the women. So we have almost 30% of our field staff as a woman. And on top of that, we have the 70 women leader who train 4,000 women in Riau province. I think that's all additional from me. Thank you.
Carolyn, if I can add also, related to access to market or certification, actually women also involved actively in the board of association. So they take not just become a member, but become a board of this. And then we encourage them also to be a part of these sustainable practices, and then encourage the other, because there's some part in the PNC of certification, actually it's really related with women's role.
Yep, thank you, Yuni. We do have some stories of women who find that they have evolved a different identity from the projects, not just as mother or wife, but also a managerial position because of the program. Thank you. Actually, the next question is to Pak Trianto. The question is about how long does it take for RSPO certified smallholders to achieve a 30% yield increase?
Thank you, Carolyn. So the project started in 2015. The first batch takes around 4.5 years. The second batch in Riau, because we learned in the first project in Rantau Prapat, and then we replicate in 3 locations the same time in Riau province in 2019. It's more faster than the previous process. So it takes about 3 years to be able to show the demonstration from the baseline data that we have compared to RSPO certified farmer production. So this is based on the preliminary data. We still in the process to finalize the report for this project. So we will share later on the whole total improvement in each individual farmer. Thank you.
Oh, actually, now that you're online, Pak Chuyanto, can you also share about how overall, how do we measure the impact of this independent smallholder program?
Yeah, so we have there is some indicator that we set up at the beginning, the impact calculation and also the impact indicator that we agree with our MNE. There is a 9 criteria for the impact, so we have the list on that, including how the implement recommended changes generate the productivity improvement, and also the number that you can see directly that we target 4,000 hectare sustainable managed land. We able to certify 5,229 hectares in total. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, the next question goes out to Olivier. It's about smallholders without BPN land titles.
Yeah, thank you, Caroline. So there was a question about how do we need to work only with, are we going to work only with smallholders who have formal land titles recognized all the way to BPN, which might not be familiar to everybody, but is the National Land Agency or Land Register. No, it's not a prerequisite. It might limit later on the options of what the farmers can do, but it's definitely not a prerequisite. We're trying to keep the entering point as low as possible. The only issue is to make sure there's no land conflict and no land illegality in the sense of not farmers within a national park, let's say, to make it extremely simple. So no, the idea is to work with the farmers the way they are and bring them to a different level. I'll just make a footnote there as well. The intention is not to get every smallholder to be RSPO certified. Some can get RSPO certified, and they're the ones pulling the rest, I would say, or showing the greatest example and being, I think like Cheng Hai said, being drivers or being shining examples for the others. But the intention is not for every smallholder to become RSPO certified. Thanks.
Olivier, now that you're on the line, there's another question perhaps for you as well. How do you ensure that certified smallholders will receive better and higher FFB prices compared to non-certified farmers?
That's a trick question. So we are, the smallholders were part of this project, and the smallholders were also receiving directly or indirectly training through the smallholder hubs do not have to be within the supply chain of Musim Mas. We are happy if they are. We are very happy if they are because we know them better, but they are not. So there is no guarantee for a premium. There is no guarantee for a better price. What we're trying to do is to equip through IPODS directly the smallholders to be better smallholders, and through the smallholder hubs of Musim Mas now we try to equip better the local governments and to work with them. It's on purpose, not something which is linked to price or to transactions, so that there is no confusion as to who does what for what. So no, there is no guarantee that farmers will get a better price, but we're doing the best we can so that they are better farmers and that they are better equipped to maybe organize themselves and get to the point where they can access a better price, or at least the best available price in their area. Thanks.
Yeah, I guess the idea is really it's not just agronomic skills, but ultimately life skills, as what Uni has said earlier. The next question goes out to Yosawin. It's a question about the scalability of getting the rest of the independent smallholders to be certified. What can be done differently? How can we scale up this certification program and training program? Thank you.
Thank you for these good questions. I think it's very difficult to pinpoint the exactly what can be done. But what we have shown in this project is that we prepare the most of independent smallholders who have very low access to training. They never have any training, but we provide an opportunity for them to join into basics training of GAPs, including using of fertilizer, harvesting, and keep maintenance, and so on. So, and build awareness of sustainability in the field. And then from this, we're trying to select those who are interested to certification, because these are independent smallholders. We cannot force them. So those early adopters will come first, and later on the results in the field have shown that interest to others. So from the project, we have seen that 100% of farmers join in the next years. So I believe that we need more of this access to technology projects. Then if they are interested to join certification, they will come on board. I don't believe in the approach of taking all them top down and say you will be 100% certified in 3 or 5 years, which I don't think it will be happen soon. From this IPOD approach, I believe that we prepare all the farmers to come and join if the RSPO certification scheme is attractive for them enough. Yeah, but if I would do it differently or not, I think yes, we invest a lot of time and efforts with our FAs because they are the one who nearest to them. We could invest more in them, and also even applying of the IT like ISAVIT, so that they already have those basics idea training and get known of sustainability earlier enough. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Yoselin. Well said. I guess for us, certification can be one of the angle, but may not be the angle. Getting them on the journey of sustainability is really the crucial key. The next question goes out to Pak Trianto. It's about, you mentioned it on your slide too, it's how does the collaboration with crowd works?
Sorry, can you repeat again, Karen?
How does the collaboration with FinTech Crowd, CROWE, works?
Okay, Crowdy. So yeah, so we test the FinTech product from Crowdy. Basically, we developed the financing product with Crowdy together based on the situation in our project location. And then we test the 7 financing product for working capital. It's working well with the 0 non-performing loan, and how we set up the collection and also the payment system for this independent smallholder. Previously, independent smallholder doesn't have access to finance. With this program, we able to make all individual independent smallholder become bankable, so they get a virtual account through the fintech. So they are now we are prepared the more farmer disbursement to the farmer in 4 location. Due to the COVID situation, there is a new requirement that we need to adjust a little bit, but based on the 7 product that we test using fintech, it worked well. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Trianto. So the next question goes to Rob. Does this smallholder hub, are they present in the Musim Mas priority landscapes? Where are they? And if the mills or the smallholders who are not supplying to Musim Mas, can they get access to this hub as well?
Okay, thanks, Carolyn. The 2 hubs that we've established are both in priority areas for Musim Mas in Aceh Singkil, Aceh Tamiang. We do have other areas that are targeted, and they're in South Sumatra and also in Kalimantan. Initially, we've got these 2. The smallholder hub, as we said before, is really about building the capacity of the local government. So we're working with the Penyulu or the village extension officers. So there's a very big chance that the people that we train in better, that will go out and train the farmers, will train farmers who don't supply to Musim Mas. But we think it's important that we're working with the broader community. So by doing that, it doesn't mean that because you supply to Musim Mas, we'll only train the village extension officers in our supply chain. We're trying to, as in Aceh Singkil, there's approximately 84 village extension officers, and we're going to train all of them. Whether those village extension officers train smallholders who supply to us or not is another thing. That's not important to us. What's important is we're giving skills to the village extension officers that's going to help smallholders. So, it's very open. Obviously, we want it to improve our supply chain, but we think we've got a role to play in the broader community. So yes, the smallholder hubs are in our priority areas, and technically anybody will benefit from them. If a village extension officer is training people in their village, the villager has the right to sell that crop to wherever they may. So it doesn't mean that they're necessarily in our supply chain. Thanks, Carolyn.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. So the next question goes out to Yotsawin, actually. It's about how easy is it for independent farmers to have land titles for RSPO certification, and how does this project assist with the farmers on the land titles? Thank you.
As I'm not Indonesian, probably Pak Trianto or Ibu Helen can explain clearer than me a lot of technical terms in there. Patrick, can you help, please?
Yes, thank you, Asawin. So yeah, I think the first step for us to identify what of a land title that they have, then how they get the STDB, what we call it, Surat Tanda Budidaya for from Indonesian government. So this is the process that we facilitate them to aggregate together and request directly to the government. We facilitate the process, but we are not intervene on the process. It's a collaborative discussion also with the local government, especially in the district level, Kepala Dinas level also involved in this discussion. So it's quite a challenge and sometimes takes some times, but there is some success process we already recorded to get the STDB from the government, from the farmer who only have a SKT and Surat Keterangan Tanah from the head of a village, and now they be able to be a RSPO certified member. So this is a process cannot be same as a different area. They have a different challenges. So this is a long process, and we are not intervene to pay them on the process, but we facilitate together with the association to talk with the government how government can support the independent smallholder to get the land title. Thank you.
Oh, but Trianto, can you stay on the line? Another question goes about RSPO certification. What are the benefits for smallholders when selling certified FFB, and what is meant by RSPO credit?
Yeah,
2 questions.
Thank you. So I think I explained the direct benefit is productivity improvement. So from non-RSPO, from the beginning of the project, they don't know about the training and everything, and then once they start join the program and then follow the RSPO principle and criteria, and then follow our fertilizer recommendation, they've been able to improve the productivity 30%. So you already get a direct benefit from 30% income additionally. So beside of that, once you've been RSPO certified, you're entitled to sell the credit from the production on each location between the farmer group association members. So for instance, one location can produce about over 5,000 metric ton IS-CSPO credit RSPO. This is online trading in palm trace system in RSPO. So it's not physical. This is a credit selling to the food manufacturing, consumer good FMCG company in from Unilever and Nestle. They purchase it directly through the palm trace system. So this is additional, like we call it, premium price that farmer receive directly. They already get the benefit directly through the association, and association already allocate budget to pay directly to the farmer for their benefit, and some been used to pay the insurance and any other activities. So this is a very complicated system that we have to work together between the association and us and RSPO in the process to receive the IS-CSPO and IS-CSPO credit from palm trace transaction in the RSPO system. Do I answer the question, Caroline? Any other answer? Any other question that I'm not answering?
No, yeah. I think that's a good answer. Is that in that with certifications and the credits comes directly to the smallholders, but it's just that the journey towards the certification funds is long, and it's not necessary that you'll get a better price. Actually, the next question goes to Olivier, right? If the journey towards RSPO certification is long and you can't get the better price in the interim, so what are the incentives you think can encourage all these smallholders to start that journey on the program, and therefore hopefully get RSPO certified? Yeah.
Right. Well, like we said earlier, the certification is maybe not for every smallholder. Some groups are in better conditions than others, in better starting conditions than others. Maybe they're more motivated as well. We can't strong arm people to become certified. So it has to be their choice, because like you said, yes, it's a journey. So some groups might be more motivated because maybe they know of other groups which are certified and they see the benefits. The journey itself, it's the same as the others. They get training, they get support. So I think that already is motivating, or some farmers anyway respond very well to that and want to improve and see that they can get a benefit if only by being better farmers. But yes, there's no guaranteed premium. That is the trick with certifications. You do not get a guarantee of premium. Today, if you're an independent smallholder and you're certified, the premiums you can receive for your FFB so for your equivalent CPO and equivalent palm kernels, very interesting. It's a lot of work, and the point is not to become certified. The point is to become certified and remain certified. So it's a very long-term plan that you must have. So it's about having a strong organization. And I think, for people who know the smallholders in Indonesia, I think we know that not everybody is ready for that kind of commitment. They might want it, but there's a lot of training that has to go into getting the organizations to function and to be able to have that term of that kind of planning. So not for everybody. In a perfect world, it would be great to say that we managed to get everybody to RSPO certification. What we hope to have achieved, I think, during the IPODS tenure was to show that it is possible. And there was a lot of focus, but 40,000 smallholders trained, about 2,000 RSPO certified. I think the ratio is not bad for a couple of years of training and of efforts. And it shows that some farmers groups are ready to jump that. But the more get certified, the more we'll want to get certified. Sorry if it's a bit all over the place. We're at the end of the webinar. Thanks, Caroline.
Sorry, thank you.
Caroline, can I just jump in on that? Cheng Hai here. Yes, just join up what Trianto and Olivier just said. I think the question is, how can we get everybody certified? I don't think when we started the project, it was the intention to get everybody certified. One of our key goals is actually a livelihood issue, increase productivity, increase incomes, and so on. And this is where this project has shown that through the adoption of good practices, the farmers are able to increase their yields by up to 30% even over a 4-year period. And this is where the real gains are. If you look at just getting certified and getting credits, then if you look at the figures which Pak Trianto gave in his slide, our farmers from the 2,000 farmers, we get about nearly $500,000. But if you work out per hectare, it's only $84 per hectare. But if you look in terms of increased productivity, it's just a very modest increase of 3 tons FFB per hectare, which is equivalent 0.6 ton per hectare of CPO. I think the gain per hectare is actually based on present prices, $450 per hectare. And farmers generally have 2 hectares. So it's $900 for each farmer for 2 hectares compared with $84 per hectare from credits. So the gains are much bigger and more sustainable in the long term if they improve their productivity and change their practices to more sustainable practices. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone would like to add?
Here is Yotsavin. Yes, I would like to add here a little bit. I had privilege to work with the first certified independent smallholders group in Thailand, and the first certified was in 2012. And I see the figures until end of January. They have been increased from 335. Now they have more than 3,700 smallholders certified until this year. And Indonesia now has altogether 7,000 farmers plus. So my point is that it's exactly like Pak Cheng Hai mentioned, productivity part play a bigger role. And if they stay with the certification scheme, they will see the benefit by themselves and they will show to others, because the figures also show that the CSPO credits price has been falling from the early time now. At that time, we could sell $30-40 per credit, or even up to 70 CSPO credit, but now it's much lower. So we have to convince farmers to increase their productivity. And during we are working with this, because we have also training, increasing of productivity and good harvesting. Also, we add the value to the mills who you are working with quality FFB means better oil extraction rates. But for the credit certification parts, that will be the motivation for farmers to come together and working together, which is, I think, this is the highlights of doing certification. Being individual, they never talk about technical aspect or helping together or coming together, buying fertilizer or discuss for organizational or other society or entirety. So the value of bringing together and working together, I think this is a lot that can be captured during the journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Yotsavin. I think we'll just take last 2 questions before we end. The first question actually goes to Helen. The question is about how do we involve agents buying fresh fruit bunches, basically the palm oil dealers, and what's the strategy involved in the future so that the dealers can also be involved in going on this journey of sustainability? Helen, please.
Thank you, Caroline. Yeah, I see the question from Pak Swisto. So I think basically we need to go back to the beginning when we conducted the supply chain assessment, where you can see the black box in Part 3 presentation. Yeah, so that's the key to involve all the supply chain actors. So basically, we identified to be able to identify how many players or how many supply or sub-agent in that supply chain. Of course, we need to conduct a supply chain assessment, which involves the lead agent. So this is where the commitment of owner of Musim Mas is very crucial, Pak Bahtiar, because as you may all aware, the role of lead agent is very important to ensure that the FFB coming to the mill, at the right amount at the right time. So then when we identify the sub-agent under the lead agent, then we need to convince the lead agent that this project or this program will beneficial for them. So we need to tell them what actually the benefit for them. So we tell them at the moment, I'll give you one example. We ask them how many, rejected fruit FFB you have every day. So they will tell us, 50% of my truck, of the FFB in my truck rejected because doesn't meet Musim Mas criteria. So we tell them, are you interested to reduce the rejection rate? They said yes. So if you want to do it, this is what we need to do. We need to train your farmers. So we need to know who they are and how we're going to train them. So that's the first step we do during supply chain assessment, to get the sub-agent or all the actors in the supply chain to be interested in this project. Without their support, we cannot get so much farmers like what we have now. I think that's answered the question. I hope I can answer the question. Does it answer the question, do you think?
Yes, it does. Actually, I have one last question, which is going out to the IFC team and the Musim Mas team. But perhaps I let Cheng Hai please take that question. It's about, if we were to do this all over again, how would you do it differently? Or it can be differently or the same. Yep.
You asking me that question, I thought it was more appropriate for the team leader to do it. Anyway.
Or anyone.
Anyway, the short answer is, if we do it again, I think we have learned a lot from this experience over the 5 years. We had quite a lot of hiccups along the way. I think learning to work with partners, I think is a very critical one, because for IFC being a World Bank group and we are working for directly with a commercial company, I think this is a big challenge, but it's a question of getting to know each other. So if we have to do it again, I think we'll do the same. We have to pick a very good partner, a committed partner. It's very critical. Okay, I think that's for my part. I'm not sure if Patria wants to continue.
Yeah, let me I add on that. So just to tell all of you, when we start this project, we really start this from the beginning. Just start from the scratch, zero base. So including, we develop a new curriculum for independent smallholders, develop a new training modules for independent smallholders, develop trainers guidance for independent smallholders and TOT training methodology for the trainers. We see how we can do better when we scale up this project to Riau province. When we start in North Sumatra, the pace is a little bit slow. When we go to Riau province, it's faster, and we already have a dedicated trainers that can replicate an additional field staff in a new location. So if you see what Musim Mas did now, they just bring those experienced field staff from this project to replicate to another location. That's one. The second point, I think the digitalization is one of the key to scale more broadly to reach more independent smallholders. However, there is some infrastructure problem, like internet connection, and some technology absorbed by the older farmer to use the iPhone or mobile phone. So this is another challenge in the future that we need to think if we use a digitalization or technology. So this is what I can see. The methodology already there. We know how to speed this process compared to this what we call it, compared to this first project, IPOD project, and we already, I think the approval process for World Bank Group is a very long, and especially when Sakib and team developed the e-learning, we only able to produce 2 e-learning modules, and takes some time for us to get accreditation approval process within World Bank Group. So this is a process that we did. Luckily, we success to get approval. So we now we know how to do it and how to scale using the technology as well. So I think that's the important thing. Even though digitalization takes some time, but there is some challenges, especially if we done from World Bank Group perspective. There is some approval process that we need to do before we use the technology for more farmer for Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope that the committed partner is Musim Mas. Perhaps the next question goes out to Olivier and Rob. If we were to do it all over again, how will we do it differently?
Thanks, Caroline. Look, I could actually just repeat what Patrianto has said. We just need a committed partner. I think that's the secret. That was the big secret. The second thing I would say, what we would do the same, on the other hand, is to have time. Sorry, Rob, I'm stealing your words here, but I would just put those 2 things together. I think we had the committed partner, we had the time. After that, it was a matter of getting it done. I'll say that because I have the luxury of speaking about this project, as I was not part of it from the beginning. I'll leave Rob to say a little bit more and close on that. Thanks.
Yeah, Olivia, I think most things have been highlighted. I think, to find the expertise, commitment from the IFC team has been a real benefit. Just the expertise that IFC can bring, the members that were involved in this project. And I think, I'm not sure who said it from IFC before, but the development of the field assistants has been brilliant, and Musim Mas has taken on a large number of those field assistants. I can't really see a lot different, in hindsight. It's a long process and commitments required. And I think both partners had that, and I think there was a large talent pool available from IFC. How to work together, it always takes some time, but I must admit, it's been a massively successful program. Sure, there are some things that could possibly have gone better, but I think as an overall picture, really successful. And I can't really add too many other things to that.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everyone. Thanks again for staying with us throughout the whole webinar. So rest assured that after this, for those whose questions we have not managed to answer, we will try to answer by emailing you, or you can always email to us at communications@musimmas.com. And that finally, I think that's, you can always reach out to any one of us or through our personal, because I think many of us here, the participants, are personal friends too. And thank you again for your time. Wish you a very good evening or morning or day ahead. Yeah, wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.